Hey howdy, hey y'all, Leanna here. Today we are going to be playing with the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette because this was viewer requested that I do a look with this because one of my amazing subscribers has this palette and she doesn't know what to do with it. I believe that you might be able to still find this palette in a couple of places online. If I can find a link to the palette, I will link it down below, but otherwise I'm pretty sure that this has been discontinued since BH went out of business and Makeup Revolution or Revolution London, they're the same. Are they the same? Anyway, somebody bought them. But I don't, this is not in production anymore. So we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to do a look with that. I've already done my base face. I am going to do my brows because I have I have found a hack for doing brows and I want to try that and see how that works. And if it works well, then I will show it to you. And if it doesn't work well, I will edit that out. And I'm also going to prime my eyes. I have the Gerard Cosmetics. I've had this for a while. It's been a while. It's been so long that whatever shade this is not even on the back of it anymore. It's come off. This is one of the lighter shades though. I don't know why I was not using it. I just was not using it. I was head over heels with, you know, the MAC Painterly paint pot that I was just sure was my holy grail. But you know, here we go with the squirrels running around in my head. I really enjoyed using a concealer to prime my eyes. And there are so many YouTubers that say, don't do that, don't do that, you shouldn't do that. Well, you know what, do what you want to do. Because I really like the liquidy type eye primers that are like a concealer. I like the ones that have tint to it because it really does cancel out and gives me a nice clean canvas with which to work with. Because, I mean, I am essentially painting my eyes. I need a nice, clean canvas. So, this is very hydrating to me. And I have this nifty little brush. And I don't remember what product it came with, but the product was sent to me by Dion, and the product did not work for me. And I may talk about that one day. I'm not sure. But this is the Perfect eye primer brush. So I just take this and get a little bit, Leanna, a little bit on my brush. And then I just tap it into the cap to get it in the bristles. The other thing I do before I start to do that, I have this little Z palette that I have these flesh toned or light shade eyeshadows, and that's what I use to set my eyes with. So I get that ready because, you know, with the liquid and my eyes are very crinkly, crepey, you know, I have to set that fairly quickly to make sure that I don't have any creasing. So I just brush this on. I don't do it very heavy, but you see how it just is canceling out any discoloration or anything that I have. And then before it dries, I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to pat it so that there are no brush marks, because you don't want brush marks. And then this brush that I have, this is all I use this brush for, is to set my eyes. I get that eyeshadow on there and then I set it. And that is how I prime my eyes. And you see the difference? Huge difference. It really does give you a nice clean canvas to work with. And it does not seem to be drying, even with putting that light eyeshadow over the top of it. It is not, it doesn't make my eyes look dry. And I believe, I didn't look, I will look, and I will put the link for this eye primer down in the description box, but I think when I bought it, which was a year or so ago, it was like $20, I want to say, maybe 22, 23. But I also think that that brand has sales quite frequently, so. And it doesn't take a lot, so you don't need to use a whole lot of it. It should last quite a long time. And there we go. Eyes are primed. And now let's get into this eyebrow hack. I'm going to use my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. It has a very, very fine tip, and the other end is a brush. So I'm going to brush my brows up. And everybody that you watch tells you that your brow is supposed to start at the end of your nose. So my brow should start here. So you're supposed to put a dot there. You see the dot? And then you put a dot at the bottom of where your brow, the bottom of your brow should be. Okay, so I've got 2 dots. They don't look even, so that tells me my nose must be uneven. I cannot get my brows even to save me. Okay, and then you're supposed to, your arch is supposed to be from the side of your nose about midway of your iris in your eye, or just a little bit to the right of that, towards your outer corner. So my arch, my natural arch, let's talk about your natural arch. Your natural arch is wherever it is, because that's naturally how it was placed on your face. Does that make sense? I mean, let's just talk about common sense and a little bit of logic here. So the arch where you would like to place it is going to be just to the right, to the side, because it depends on which eye you're on. Whew, this is getting deep, y'all. Of your iris. So it should be about right there. I'm going to put another dot right there. And then you're going to put another dot below that. Okay. And now the tail of your eye, if you pull your eyebrow down, it's going to draw your face down and make everything kind of look droopy. You probably want to make your eyebrow come out. So you're going to figure out where that should be, and you can do it from from your nose. You can go out to the corner of your eye, which would be way out here, which is too far out for me. But I'm going to go to about right there. Okay, do you see all of those? Then you're supposed to draw a line from this dot to this dot, okay? And you're supposed to draw a line from this dot to this dot. This is how you map out your brow. And then from your arch, you're supposed to go out to the tail. And that is how your brow is supposed to be. Of course, you have to fill in right there. And I think I went this, I should have come this way, like that. Yeah, that's better. And of course you have to connect this down here over. Okay, so that's how your brow is supposed to, how you're supposed to draw in or map out your brow. And then you just take your pencil and do the hair-like strokes. Work, y'all, work. And the front part of your brow needs to be lighter than the back part of your brow. Now I'm gonna tell you, that's probably the best brow I've ever done. This is my first time trying this, even though it looks really dark. That's the best brow I've ever done. So already I'm impressed. And then I'm going to take the spoolie and I'm going to get rid of the dots and I'm going to lighten up the front and make it look more natural. And so I need to work on that a little bit, but not too shabby. I don't care what I do, I can never get my brows to look the same. And I have determined it's because, and I truly do this a lot in real life, it's because I do this. Because look at the arch on this one is so much higher than that one. That's my evil stink eye. Okay, that's the brows. They don't look bad though. I'm impressed with that little brow hack. Let's do an eye look with this Blueberry Muffin palette from BH Cosmetics. I cannot see what I'm doing. It is such a beautiful, this is such a beautiful palette. So many people love this palette. It is a cult favorite for sure. Let me move my mirror out of the way so that you can see how pretty this is. It is just a gorgeous palette. So the first thing that I would like to suggest is with any of your palettes, if you're not sure what shades you want to use or which shades happen to go together, then do swatches on your arm. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So I want to start my look out with this shade here called Treat. It's a gray. So I'm going to get that on my finger and I'm going to swatch that on my arm. Okay. And I'm going to swatch it so that you can't see it. Let me see if I can move that over a little bit. I forget when I turn my arm up, it looks different for you. Alright. So that's my transition shade. Now, if I want to try to figure out which one of these shades will look the best with that, so let's go into this blue right here, which is so good. Then you can take that, get that on your finger, and then you can place it right up under it and kind of blend it in together. Okay, you see? just blend them in together. You can see which shades will blend into one another or which shades will look good with another one. I mean, in a small palette like this, they will normally try to curate these shades so that they are kind of cohesive and they will match. But you can always swatch it on your arm and play with it, you know, to see how things go together or what you can do. See, I just put a shimmer in between those two to figure out what you can do to make that look the way you want it to look. The other thing that you can do is look at the palette either by row, which, you know, this row is all dark, so you can do rows going this way. You can do the rows going this way. Or you can do quads, like these 4 shades here. You could do a look with those. It doesn't always work out that way, but this is where you can take, like, say if you wanted to try this quad here, you could take those 4 shades and swatch them out on your arm to see what kind of look you would possibly get with those. So that's just a couple of examples to help you if you're unsure what it is that you should do, which there is absolutely no should do's. You do whatever you want to do. It's your makeup, your look, you know. And this is another reason why I tell you to play with your makeup. Sometimes at night I will, you know, swatch things, or I will sit in my bedroom and just put different shades on my eyes to see how they blend, what they look like, what they look good with, what doesn't look good, that type of thing. You can do that too, because when you're done, you just wash it off. No harm, no foul. So like I said, I am going to start off with that gray shade, which is Treat, using the Sydney Grace blending brush. I love this brush. I do wish that they had numbers or something on them just so that I could tell you, but I know that this is a large blending brush. And I'm going to pick up Treat and put that as my transition shade. Look at how pigmented. These blend out so nice. And see, you can use your finger to kind of soften that edge I have going on there. And of course, you don't have to put so much on. You can, I'm very heavy-handed. You can go in with a lighter hand and build the eyeshadow up to the intensity that you would like for it to be. And it's all about the blend. Just try to blend it well so that you don't have lots of harsh lines, unless you like harsh lines. And if you do, then rock on. So there's my transition shade. That was Treat. And now where am I going? I love that Stud Muffin. And that is a kind of a satiny, shimmery shade. That is so pretty. But you can put that in your outer corner if you choose to. Is that what I want to do, or do I want to go with this blue? I'm going to go with that blue. So I'm going to use this. This is another fluffy blending brush. It's a rougher brush. And I'm going to pick up that blue, which is called So Good. And I'm going to pat that on my outer V and run it up into my crease. See how pretty that is? I'm going to get just a little bit more and just intensify it right in the outer corner. Okay, and then do the same thing on the other eye. Of course, I'm sure all of y'all know that. And then, I mean, the way that I put it on here, you could almost do a halo eye if you wanted to. You could put this dark shade kind of in the center a little bit, or this more metallic. You could put that in the center. Let's do that. I'll show you. You can just... Now I'm going to... What am I going to do? I was going to use my pinky, but let's use a brush because not everybody likes to use their fingers. I'm just going to take this little AOA brush. It's just a little flat brush. And pick up. This brush does a really good job of picking. You see how it picked that up? And it picked up a cat hair. How does the cat hair get in my makeup? How does that happen? It was in the brush, right? And I'm going to put this like in the center. You see how I'm starting there in the center? And I'm going to pull it outwards. And you can do this lightly if you don't want it to be super intense. You can do it very lightly. See? Very light. You don't have to go super intense with it. Not everything has to be all high color intense glam. You can do a very nice soft look. Now you can see where there's a little space here where there's not a whole lot of color, but we can go back in and put that blue back in there once we get this laid down. See? Very pretty. And I'm going to do that again here on this eye, just starting from the center. Okay, I got that side just a little bit darker than the other, so I'm going to darken the other one back up just a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to clean my brush off on my color switch. Just cleaning my brush off. And now I'm going to go into one of these lighter shades for my inner corner, which will lighten up the whole look pretty much. I do not know which one I want to use. That is a silver. So I'm going to swatch them to see which one I want to use. That one's really pretty, and that one will sheer out really nice. So that's an option. I also like this one, which is almost like a rose or a champagne. That's more of a champagne type color. Can you see how it's just a little bit different? And I think I'm going to use that kind of champagne. It's called Cravings, which is this one right here. And I'm going to pick that up on my brush along with another hair, and I'm going to put that in my inner lid. And you see how that lightens it up? It lightens up your eye. So if you feel like you are too dark, just put a lighter shade on the inner part of your lid, and you can pull it over, you know, pull it out some and let it blend in with the shade next to it. And now I'm going to take a smaller brush so that I'm a little bit more detailed. This is another little rougher brush. This is a number 12, and I'm going to go back into So Good, that blue. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that. And I'm just going to put it here in the outer corner of my eye, just to put that back a little bit and blend it up into that middle lid shade. And then I can either take this color and run it under my eye, or I can use that gray. And I'm going to use a little bit of that, just what's left on the brush, because I don't want a whole lot. I run it under my eye, and I'm going to do the same over on this side. Now I'm going to take another big fluffy brush, clean brush. This is a BK Beauty 202, and I'm just going to make sure that all of this is blended well. Okay. Okay. And then there's several really light shades in here that I could use for an inner corner highlight. I don't want it to be that intense, so I'm going back into my little Z palette because I have some shimmers in here specifically. You can see this one where I have hit pan, that's the one that I use. I like to use that to highlight under my brow because I love my brow highlight. I love how that looks. It just, again, it kind of lightens up your eye. I love how that looks. And then I also use it as my inner corner highlight to brighten up that inner corner. My inner corners are very dark sometimes, kind of like my soul. So there we go. I'm going to do my lashes and a lip, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I put on my mascara, which is a number 7 mascara. I'll have that video linked up here. I did apply a little bit more blush and did a e.l.f. liquid lip in Vampy Violet. So this is my finished look using the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette. It is a very easy palette to use, very user-friendly. It is good for beginners. There's lots of different options in this palette. Thank you to Mary for asking me to demo this palette for you and show you how to create a look. Before you go, make sure you show that like button some love, and as always, I'd like to remind you that makeup is meant to enhance the natural beauty that you already are, and we are all beautiful at any age and any size. Find something to be grateful for today, pull your makeup out and play with it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Christopher, do you have the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette? This is a blueberry muffin you can have. There are no carbs. Okay, so get you a blueberry muffin palette so you can create a look. You can have a crumble. It's got crumble in it. It's sweet. It's the only sweet that you're allowed to have, okay? It's tempting and delish and hot and fresh and fluffy. It even has a stud muffin in it, kind of like you. Mama loves you, boo.